Okay, we should be recording now.
Okay.
Hello, world. I'm Erica Killam,
And I am Jessica Arment.
and we're talking today about do not track specifically, and just like privacy in general. For this dialogue, we both watched episodes 3 and 4 of Do Not Track, which dealt a lot with social media data mining and then geolocation data mining.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the takeaways I took from it was it was really telling to me the way that companies can like distinguish who we are, our race, a lot of times our family situation, our employment situation, based on like just our internet presence.
Mm-hmm.
That was really, really telling. One of the things that got me, and I know that it isn't just based on social media, but no one's really honest on social media. So to use social media use, like that one was Illuminous,
Mm-hmm.
to use our Facebook presence to analyze our personality is problematic. And then they had that woman, I think she was in France, who was removed from her insurance for her depression medication because she was like posting happy stuff on social media. So how accurate is this data that they're actually gathering on us, do you think?
Yeah, for me, when I did the Illuminous little assessment, I felt like some things were spot on and some things were way off, and I was like a little offended at some of them.
I was kind of upset. I tried to do it. Well, at first I wasn't going to do it. And then I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
screw it. I mean, everyone knows everything anyway. And so I went back and
Right.
started the episode over and logged in with Facebook, but something didn't work and didn't give me my information. I was like, oh.
Oh, you might have to clear your like cookies or browsing
Yeah.
history
Yeah.
because it tracked it.
So yeah, that's cool. So some of it was accurate.
Yeah, so it said that so they assess your like personality traits, and there's like 5 big ones that they look for, and the two that I for the personality, the two that I were highest in were, it says openness, which indicates you're creative, imaginative, and adventurous, and conscientiousness, which indicates you're organized, responsible, and hardworking. So I felt like that analysis was pretty spot on, and it was crazy because that analysis was determined by my likes on Facebook over the past 7 years, which isn't that many. It's only 263. But in the video they talked about, I think it was you only needed like 250 for the algorithm to analyze you better than your spouse.
Yeah, that was insane.
So I was like, well, I guess it knows me better than my husband.
That was so crazy. Or even the video was it? I think it was the end of privacy that we watched this module. He said the same thing. He said with 10, it takes 10 friends for these algorithms to really know you. You have to be connected to 10 people. And it was just insane. I mean, I have thousands of friends on Facebook, I think at this point, because I've had a Facebook for like, 10 years.
Yeah.
And, they just accumulate.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a Facebook in college when it first came out, and then I deleted it like after I graduated college. And so there's no record from that one. So this one's only from the past when I started a new account. So it's from the past 7 years. But what it showed that was really interesting to me is my participation in social media has decreased the older I've gotten. So like in 2011, I had 78 likes for the year, and this year it's only 4 so far. So kind of what I took away from the analysis too is that maybe it's a more accurate reflection of my younger self like 5 years ago than it is who I am today.
Yeah. I just
because go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's just that like some of the, like it evaluated my, like how risky I was, like my career risk, financial risk, social risk. And like one of the things it said your high scores in openness and extroversion indicate potential for risk-taking behavior in your career decisions, like quitting a job without another to go to. And at first I was like, what? That's not, I'm such a planner and I'm super responsible. But then I thought back and I realized like I actually have done that 3 different times, once in high school and then twice when I like left jobs to move to new cities. I didn't have other jobs lined
yeah.
up. So I think that I have maybe become a little less risky as I've gotten older. But it said too, like, that I would not be a good candidate for what was it? Like I would be a mediocre candidate for a loan. And part of it because I'm female, so that felt a little sexist.
Yeah.
And then it does say as you get older, your risk taking decreases with age. But the financial thing really struck a chord with me because, like, it said because I'm open and extroverted, so I might engage in risky, like, financial decisions, like gambling or risky investments. And that's so not me at all. Like, I am super fiscally responsible. Like, I don't have any debt, car payments, anything like that. I like try really carefully to live inside my means. So I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, what?
So
I did it as a 42-year-old man, it turns out.
Oh.
And that was a lot of the, like, it was, that person was mediocre also. And that was mostly his age caused that. But yeah, they said, like, the fact that you're a man makes you a little bit more likely to, like, not engage in risky financial stuff. And I was like, okay. And I also was thinking, this kind of data mining, when you're coming to, like, making conclusions about somebody, it's always based on this one, like, dichotomy of, like, what is right. Like, there's one good candidate for a loan or one good candidate for whatever they're data mining for. And I just couldn't help but think that this is another way to, like, further to go into, like, the reading from the week to further digitally redline certain groups of people, because chances are the ideal candidate or the ideal whatever is a white man. And so it'd be another chance to disenfranchise people. And that one professor from Stanford said the opposite. He said this is a chance for people who normally would be declined to enter into this financial world, using, like, showing their social media self as evidence of them being a good candidate. But then it, like, reminded me of school systems and all of this stuff that, like, I always have really strong feelings about. I feel like schools are set up in a way that it rewards, like, whiteness. So the most successful of my minority kids, if I look at the way that they act and speak and write, they're the whitest of my minority kids.
Right.
That, like, their peers will, like, call them Oreo, you know, black on the outside and white on the inside. And so there's the people who refuse to be white or refuse to be, like, Eurocentric online, or just are not generally white or Eurocentric, and they just can't be. This data mining is going to further push them away from, like, the American dream of a home loan or something like that, because they can't be held up to this standard. So when that professor was saying that, I just kept thinking, okay, well, that's going to, like, make the whitest sounding minorities eligible for these kinds of things. Like,
right.
You make yourself sound like a white man online, that makes you a better candidate for a loan. I worry that just it's going to further push groups to the edges.
And they're even, like, predicting behaviors based on who you're friends with and even your friends of your friends. I guess under the assumption that, like, we surround ourselves with like-minded people. But yeah, I absolutely agree. Like, I think it could just further this sort of discrimination and, like, stereotypical thinking.
Yeah. Speaking of friends, I made some notes on the Spy in My Pocket video 4. And it made me think about, I write for a magazine. I have a lot of friends that have, like, from writing for the magazine, that have, like, fashion blogs or style blogs. And social media influencers are fascinating to me. Just the concept, because they will be, like, sent merchandise or paid for posts because of their following, which is, you know, really common. And it's how they make money, or how they, you know, at least support their blog. But one way that it's done is that their following is analyzed. And if they're determined to have a following, more likely to engage with this product, or more likely to buy this product, or more likely to have friends who would buy this product. So, like, you know, 3 or 4 steps down from the blogger, then that blogger is more likely to be like given stuff and paid more for posts. And so it's like that friends of friends of friends thing. And that's why like current bloggers are really kind of maniacal about getting like bots off their accounts and getting these like followers who don't engage with them off their accounts because it ruins their bottom line. It's so crazy that algorithms are so mature and advanced that they can do that work.
Yeah.
It's astounding.
Yeah, I know. It's really crazy. And then like on the not spying in my pocket video too, they talked about, it really creeped me out, this part. I didn't realize this even after our discussions this week, that like some of the social media apps can access our contacts in our phones.
Angry Birds that would like never
yeah, like that was one example. Yeah, like to suggest friends, or they talked about like determining who among your friends has the most influence to be able to like target advertisements. That like really kind of blew my mind. I mean, I was totally unaware of the tracking that was happening on my phone before our discussion last week, and then or over this last week. And then when I checked the settings on my phone, there were so many apps that had access to like my contacts, my photos, my health stats. They were tracking my location even when I wasn't using the app.
Yeah.
And so, and I guess like it really bugs me because the default storage or the default setting for some of those apps is to track your data, and like that you have to go in and turn it off yourself rather than it being the other way around. Like the default would be if it were not automatically tracking and you had the option if you wanted it to.
Yeah.
So
I had to completely wipe my phone clean like a year ago, and it was kind of nice because then I had to like manually enter all my new apps, and I like tried to go through their settings. But so, like, I walked into a Target yesterday, and I have the Target Cartwheel app, and I never use it. It's like a coupon app. But I walked in on iPhones, you get this little like suggested app down in the left corner of like, it's like a shortcut to one that they think you're gonna want. So like at my gym, my like music app pops up, but a Target Cartwheel popped up like on my little suggested app, and I was like, what? I 99.99999% sure that my location services are off for that app, and there's just like no, it shouldn't have known that I was in a Target. It was I was like, ugh, Big Brother is watching.
Yeah, maybe it was on, and something else. Yeah,
it's like something gave it information, and so I just feel really overwhelmed. Like there's no way I can control this. Like there's no way that I can like get it under control and get it under my thumb. And so then I'm like, whatever, just let everybody know everything. Like, what does it even matter?
Yeah, I know. It's tough. Yeah, I'm wondering because it said in that video like that our unique whatever ID, like our UDID is sent to advertisers so they can track our mobile habits and send us those targeted advertisements. So I wonder if like maybe that was sent to the Target app got it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just
how it all works, but it's crazy. So you said you have an iPhone, right? So in the privacy settings there too, I turned off, it was like, there's one thing where you can help Apple by sending in like daily diagnostic and usage.
Oh yeah.
Your locations. I turned that off, but then also there's an option to limit ad tracking on your iPhone and opt out of receiving like ads targeted towards your interests.
Ooh. I'll have to look into that. I just updated it, and so I turned off my like send diagnostics to Apple.
Yeah.
That freaked me out so bad with this last update, the iOS 10, because it would give me a notification that was like, hey, for the next 20 minutes, Apple's going to be tracking everything you do.
Oh my God.
I would be like, no, look at do you want to look at it? And it was because I had that like diagnostic thing activated. So I turned that off. I need to look through my settings again after this week and just like lock everything down.
Yeah, I know it's hard. And like kind of the takeaway for me from that was like also when they talked about like granting permissions within the apps, like the Angry Bird ones, like I need to be really aware of what permissions I'm granting. But at the same time, even if I'm not granting permissions and I have like the highest security settings on my own phone, if someone else doesn't, that has my contact information in their phone, like my contact information could still be used off of their phone.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like not even totally up to me.
There was that one lady that was interviewed or featured on the video that said she went so far as to like buy a phone with a fake name and carry it around with her to like create like a mirror of herself and like throw off these algorithms, and even that didn't work.
Yeah, that's like to the extreme.
I like, this brings up a lot of questions for me that like, I think the biggest one is that I kept coming to is okay, it's 2017. And I said, what is the true value of privacy anyway? In the way that we live our lives now, is it serving us any purpose to protect our data? Because we resign ourselves to the fact that it's not entirely up to us. Is it something we need to really worry about? Because it's not. And then I feel like I'm just like living in the book 1984, and I'm one of those people that is just like letting Big Brother take over.
Right.
And also like being off the grid, having no social media presence, having no smartphone makes you an undesirable candidate for jobs, for relationships. It seems like protecting our privacy pulls us out of modern life in so many ways.
Totally. Yeah. I feel the same way. You know, I felt like the assessment that I got was pretty inaccurate based on who I am today. And so it's like, okay, well, what are my options? And should I start interacting with Facebook more to improve my score? Like it feels like a game, you know, it reminds me of, like having to establish your credit score is kind of the same thing for me. Like I don't take on debt. So I didn't have a credit card for forever. I don't have any other debt. And so I didn't really have any sort of credit history, which made me an undesirable candidate for a loan. So it's like I had to take out a credit card and start using it to establish a credit history so that I could get a better credit score and become a more desirable loan candidate. So it's like, and now if they're basing this off of your social media presence and interactions, it's like another thing. I'm like, oh my God, do I have to like make myself more desirable by posting more? And
yeah, it's like we have to play the game. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and thinking about who I associate myself with on Facebook. It's crazy. I've never thought of that before.
No. I have because I like do a little bit of writing in town. I do like I have to like curate my Instagram account because that's the account that I use to network. And I have to like post at certain times, only post certain content, only engage with certain people. I have to use it in a really, really specific way to make myself like a desirable writer for this magazine so that I can maybe get an article next month. And I like have to play that game, and then my Instagram account is no longer like a reflection of me. It's just like this professional tool that I have.
Yeah, that you've carefully crafted.
Yeah, like my Twitter is now just all school stuff, which I kind of like, and I'm going to keep it that way. I'm only going to follow educational accounts and things like that.
Mm-hmm. The one about the woman with the insurance company really shocked me too, because I've like read research about that like people that post more on social media, like larger numbers of pictures and stuff, that could be a sign of depression. So I'm like, how is this company basing the fact that she's making Facebook post? Like, how can they determine what's going on within based on a photo, you know?
I was trying to look like in the background and at their clothing at cues as to like what year this happened in.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like a very like 2003 thing, like that people weren't really aware of how social media was going to be used.
Right.
And so they thought it was like an accurate representation of people. And now I think that we are a little bit more wise, and we know that it's completely inaccurate. And that, the more gushing and happy people are on social media, like that usually is an indicator of an underlying problem of some sort, or can be anyway.
Right.
It definitely doesn't discount them from having mental health issues.
Right. So it's just like, how can these companies take it so seriously, you know, and base like your interest rates or, you know, whether or not you're a desirable candidate for health insurance just off a social media profile.
Yeah. I mean, if you went off of my Instagram profile, you would think that I was the most vapid, shallow person in the world, because the only thing I interact with on Instagram are like fashion blogs and magazines and photographers. And if that was like, if somebody looked at that social media presence and used it as an accurate view of who I was, I would be humiliated by the results.
Yeah,
Like,
and it said that the algorithm could determine your IQ. I was like, what? I want to see that. I want to see what
oh
it
my
is IQ
gosh.
is.
Yeah.
Social media. But yeah, it's like you said, if you're coming across as like shallow and only interested in fashion, like what is that going to say about your intelligence? You know, like how can that be determined based on that?
Scary. So scary. Because I've definitely the past few years been on the like vein of like curate your social media, use it to your advantage. And now, you know, we hear, okay, no, your social media needs to be a very accurate representation of who you are, because there are these companies using that data to determine who you are.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know that. I feel like all I can do right now is this the past 2 weeks have really raised my awareness about it. And so I feel like right now, you know, what I can do is like I did check the settings on my phone and be aware of those, and be careful about the same thing with the computer, like the websites that I'm using and the search engines that I'm using. But it does feel like it's already out there.
Yeah.
I don't know how, you know, what you can do to get it back.
I think that a good answer is that there are no answers yet. Like you said, we just need to be diligent and careful and
spread the awareness to others.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to say thank you for watching to everybody, and I'm going to stop the recording.